Okay, so God bless you. Problem number 7. We're looking for the perimeter. Let me just make this a little bigger. So first of all, the perimeter is the length around this figure. Okay, that's the perimeter. So to get the perimeter, which in this case is the circumference, I need to get half of the circumference of that circle, in which the radius is half of the 20, right? Or I can also use just the diameter, because there's a formula for the circumference. Remember when we cover circles, the circumference is pi d. So you can just get half of pi d, and d is 20 millimeters. So all you gotta do is just put that into the calculator. So you can put 0.5 times pi and then times 20. And that gives you, what did you have for that part? 31.4, right? Because it's to the tens place. So that's 31.4. So that piece is 31.4. Okay, now we're going to add 31.4 and then plus 14. Is that what? Millimeters? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, and now the second part that I can also add, the third part, is 32. And then I'm going to be missing one piece. And then that one piece, it's the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse of what? Well, the hypotenuse of that triangle. Right? So I do know that in that triangle, the height is 14. What about the base? How much is the base? It's 12 because it's 32 minus 20, which is 12. So to find that piece, this right here, I can just use the Pythagorean theorem, 12 square plus 14 square. That equals to the missing piece square, which is the same thing as just the square root of that number, right? So what the calculator is get the square root of 12 square plus 14 square. So what is that piece approximately? Supposed to be 18.1. 0.4? Yeah, 18.4. Okay, well, let me go ahead and add that to the list. 18.4. And then when you add all those numbers, you're going to add 31.4 to 14, 32, and then 18.4. What's the sum of all of that? That's right. So it's 95.8, and this is millimeters. So it's 95.8 millimeters. Or millimeters. Okay, any questions about number 7a? So far, so good? Okay, now let's go ahead and find the answer to number 7b. Let me give you a minute to work on that. So in number 7b, what you were supposed to have done first is draw the triangle all the way down, right? Because you're missing a little piece, which is this piece right here. So we need to find the height, which is all the way down, with the Pythagorean theorem. Now, how much is that little piece on the base? 75 minus 37.5. 37.5. Okay, so it's 37.5. Okay. Okay, so that is 37.5. So all you have to do when you're looking for a missing piece, the short way would be, well, that x, that missing piece, would be the square root of 62.5 minus the leg, which is 37.5. And this is a square. So what did you get for that height? How much is that? 50 meters. 50 meters. And then that 50, you subtract the 22.5, right? So it's minus 22.5. And that gives you 27. So that piece is 27.5. Because it's a squared plus b squared equal to c squared. So that's just one of the legs. The other one is the x, which is missing. And then after that, you just add up all the numbers. So the perimeter is supposed to be adding, you add 22.5, 37.5 plus 27.5 plus 62.5 plus 75. All of that together is supposed to be 225. So it's 225, and this is meters, and that's it. Any questions about the perimeter on 7A or 7B? So far, so good? Okay. Now let's go ahead and move on to number 8A. Let's find the area of 8A. How many shapes do you see in 8A? There could be 4, but also it could be just 2. Do you see just 2?
Yeah.
Yes, let's make it just into 2. Which is one of them?
The parallelogram.
A parallelogram, which is this one. And a triangle. That's it. Okay, so let's get the areas. Both areas for the triangle is 1/2 base. And how much is the base? 10. Okay. And the height? That would be 5. Okay, so 1/2 times 50, and that would be 25 when you put that into the calculator, so it's 25 square feet. And now for the second one, for the parallelogram, the formula is base times height. Base is what? 8 feet, and the height?
5.
It's 5. The height is always perpendicular to the base, so that would be 40.
Yeah.
So it's 40 square feet. When you add both of them, the answer to this should be what?
70.
65. So the answer is 65 square feet. And that's it. Okay, that was number 8. Problem number 9. Okay, do you see 2 shapes in number 9? Yes, right? What and what? A semicircle and a triangle. That's right. So let's go ahead and get those 2 areas. So for the first one, let's get the area of the triangle. The whole triangle. The area is base times height. Which is the base, which is the height?
18 times 26.
And the 26. See, the base and the height are supposed to form a right angle. So it doesn't really matter which is the base and which is the height, but both of them become one the base, the other one the height. So it's 26 feet times the height, which is 18. And then half of that. So it's 26 times 18 divided by 2. 234?
Yes.
So 234 square feet. And now we have to subtract. We have to subtract the area 2. This is going to be area 2. We subtract area 2, which is, what's the formula for the area of a semicircle? Pi r square. And the radius is half, right, of the diameter, which is 4.5. So it's 4.5 quantity square. And then you get half of that. So let's just put all of that into the calculator. 234 minus that answer. 63.5. Okay, so it's 4.5 square, and then divided by 2. Right. You have to put pi 4.5 square, and then half of that. Did you get 202 point what?
202.21.
I got 0.19. So it's 0.2 when you run to the tenths. So it's 202.2. For number 9C, which 2 shapes can we work with? It's a circle and a trapezoid. Are we going to add the areas, or are we going to subtract the areas? Subtract them, right? Okay, so then let's get the area of the circle. So pi r square. Okay, so it's pi, the radius of that circle, it's 10, right? Because it's 20 in the diameter, so it's 10. Okay, so that would be the area of the circle. Now minus the second area. And that's a trapezoid, so it's 1/2. Base 1, doesn't really matter which is base 1 and which is base 2. So it's 12 plus 20. And then times the height, which is 8. So just put all of that into the calculator. So the answer here, when you put that into the calculator, it's 186.
Where's the little pi?
The pi, it's right below the clear button. And this is a square centimeters. Don't forget to put the square units on area. Okay, yes. If you do the 3.14, you're going to be off by 100th of a place. Right, so, yeah, no, make sure you use the pi from the calculator all the time. So you're not off by 100ths. Yes, okay. Okay, now letter D. Okay, there's two shapes on the letter D, right? One of them is a circle, and the second one is a square. Now, the second one, the square, is the one that they're not giving me the side lengths. But I do remember the 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? If the legs are n, the hypotenuse is n square root of 2. So if you go from the leg to the hypotenuse, you multiply by square root of 2. But if you want to get the leg, you don't multiply. You have to what? Divide. So we have to divide by square root of 2. If you have the hypotenuse and you want to go back to the leg, then you have to divide by square root of 2. So in this case, I have the hypotenuse, and that is 6. So then the leg would be 6 divided by square root of 2. And if you want to simplify that, 6 divided by square root of 2, you can rationalize. You cannot see? Okay. Sorry about that. So you can rationalize, and that would be 6 square root of 2 divided by square root of 4, which is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is just 3 square root of 2. So every time you have the leg and you want to get to the hypotenuse, you multiply by square root of 2. But if you're going backwards, then you have to divide by square root of 2, and then you have to rationalize. So that's the length of the side of the square. So now let's go ahead and work with the formulas. Area 1, area of the circle, it's pi. The radius is half of the diameter, right? Which is 3. So it's pi r squared, then minus area 2, and this is going to be my area 2, the square. So it's just a matter of getting the side, which is 3 square root of 2, and this is square. Get the side and then just square that. So just put that into the calculator. Just put that into the calculator, and make sure you have the 3 square root of 2 in parentheses, and then you square that number, because otherwise it's only going to square the square root and not 3 square root of 2. So be careful with that. So practice please, so that way you know how to put it into the calculator. So the answer here is 10.3, right? So it's 10.3, and this is square inches. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is E. Okay, so this is an interesting shape. Okay, do you see a square? Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that being the area 1. And now, do you see the second shape to be, what is it, the second shape? It's a circle, right? It's a complete circle. See this right here, together with the other piece, is just a complete circle. So we can just add those two. It's one circle plus the area of the square, and that's the area of the whole, the heart, right? Okay, so then area 1, let me just, okay, there you go. So for the area 1, it's going to be just 3 inches quantity square, right? Which is 9 square inches. And now for the circle, well, for the circle is just pi. Let me just use another color that is a little darker. Let's see if that helps. Pi, and then radius, the radius, it's 3 is the diameter, so half of that is 1.5 quantity square. So we just add those two in the calculator. Let's just add them up. The answer, when you add all of that, is just 16.1. 16.1, and don't forget the unit of measure, which is a square inches, and that's it. Yeah. Now letter F was meant to be everything shaded. But the thing is that I used a yellow highlighter when I highlighted this, and it didn't came up on the copies. So everything is supposed to be highlighted, okay? Everything has to be shaded. So it's the whole thing. Okay, so how many shapes do you see here? Three, right? Okay, so then let's get the area of each one of those. So for the first one is just 28.5. Is that a rectangle? I hope it is, right? So it's just 28.5 times 7.5. The second one is the one that is a what? It's a trapezoid. Okay, so it's a trapezoid, so it's 1/2. Base 1 plus base 2, so it's 18 plus 12, is that 30? Right, so it's 30. And then times the height, which is 6. And then the last rectangle is just base times height.
Miss, isn't it
18 plus 12, when you add the two bases, it's 30. And let's just add all of that with a calculator. And the area, it's 375.8. And this is square feet, because the unit of measure is feet, so it's square feet, and that's it. Any questions about number 9F? So far, so good? Okay.